introduce you. Johannes Heimrath, Master Gong maker of all the gongs that we provide as a Tone of Life. How did you came across the gong in your life?
Well, this is a long story, and I have really to try to make it short. I'm a professional musician. I studied music and music ethnology and composition and everything else in the early 70s in Salzburg in the Mozarteum. There we had time to research the effect of sounds on the body. This was just in the very early phase of music therapy. It was not yet a faculty. As a composer, I was interested in how do sounds affect the body and, of course, the emotions and so on. And we came across a remarkable thing that we realized that there are specific sounds that create similar or even replicable effects on body and soul and whatever you think man is made of. So in the course of this, I just tried to find out to write music in that way, but it is not possible to write such complex sounds. So one day I just crossed a Chinese gong in the theater and I hit it. And suddenly something spoke to me. This is it. Of course, this was a Chinese gong, but I didn't trust this too much because it was just far away and a different culture. I thought there must be something more familiar to me as I'm a Middle European, so I wanted to find out whether some Middle European gong tradition exists. And this was the case because the company Paiste was just about to develop a specific range of gong sounds. They were about to promote this sound creation set. So I came into this Paiste universe. This was really absolutely fascinating because there were instruments that had different sounds from that quality. I knew they would touch people, and they were in a specific way replicable. So if you could say number 3 was always number 3 and so on. And this combined very much with my research at that time, and I started using these gongs, the whole set of Paiste. I bought the whole set of Paiste, even a 150 centimeter gong, a symphonic, and started work empirically with people. And for a long time I collected my experience, and then I found out that there is a specific system. I could use the sounds systematically, and I brought them together with the idea of the 4 elements, and it worked very fine. And so I started working with people on a therapeutic level, and it took some years, and then I wrote down my experience in a book. During all this time, I brought back my experience to Paiste. Walter Meyer was just about to take over the leadership of the workshop, and with Walter I discussed for a long time the different effects of making to the sound. So from my feedback, the sounds gradually evolved into a specific direction. Found out that, let's say, from 10 out of a series of a Paiste gong series, maybe 1 or 2 would fit into this rather narrow window where I felt the sound should be. So I went to Thomas Paiste and discussed that with him, and well, we felt very close to each other, and he gave me permittance that Sona gongs, which is my label, were built by Paiste, so I had Sona manufactured by Paiste. The things could have been like that since then, but in 2001, or was it 2, Thomas Paiste died suddenly by accident, and so the whole gong maker scene just fell apart. I lost ground. And on the other side, I didn't want to lose everything, which I had invested a lot of time and my whole energy in this system of sounds. And so I discussed with Walter whether he would be ready to start our own workshop when he would be healthy again. He was very ill. And I was with Irina Paiste, and I clarified everything, so there was no problem with it. We could start our own workshop, and it would be the Sona workshop. So when Walter left the clinic in 2005, we started our own workshop here in Pulo. And well, I made everything that Walter would be happy. But unfortunately, he was not so happy anymore. He was not the man he was before these whole things. And although we made some fine gongs, I realized it wouldn't be a good way to find out new sounds. I was always about new sounds. I had specific ideas. And well, the thing ended and Walter had to withdraw, and he has passed away since then anyway. And so, again, I had nobody who made Sona gongs.
I remember that time because that was the time when
Yeah.
I delivered you first, like part of the sheets.
All right.
And
you came
it was,
up in the last phase with Walter, and you had these sheets from the Ukraine.
Yes, yes.
And I remember this was just not a very good material.
yes. We needed to roll it one more time.
And at that time, I had another apprentice, and he was not able to make large gongs anyway, but he was really eager to learn it, and so we could start the first series for your gongs. And I was not aware what would be the future of all that, unless Heiko came up. Heiko wrote me a mail and said, I'm out of the gong business in 6 years, but I want to return, and I want to have some sheets from you. And I said, okay, come over here and let's chat. And in the end, I invited Heiko to be my new partner, and well, he agreed and he stepped in the workshop. So now the problem was the chemistry between Heiko and my potential apprentice was not really good. So in the end, Heiko was the only one who stayed with me, and the other had left. But Heiko was again not a very stable and healthy person. So in the end, I had to realize that working with Heiko would mean a very slow pace, and maybe we invent 1 or 2 new sounds, and this will be it. In the end, Heiko fell ill and couldn't come back into the workshop, so yes, I was again absolutely alone. And I thought, is this the end or is it not? And my colleagues said, you have to do it by yourselves. And also our connection was always somehow carrying me. I believed that there must be some future in it.
I remember the time we met here in Kleisny, and you said, oh, I think that's it.
Yeah.
This is it. And I said, no, you have to start making it finally.
Yeah, it is. It was the crucial point, I think. Yeah. And it would not have been possible to do this in that way if we would not have our cooperation. So I'm very, very grateful that you showed up in my life. Anyway, I always wanted to have this workshop, a small workshop, and do what we can and be happy with the customers that show in by themselves. But on the other side, the dynamic which the workshop really came into through your work, distributive work, and also the feedback that came through our many, many discussions was, I think, boosting the development of our sounds. And I think, this was a very, very good way to expand in a way, in a healthy way.
In a healthy way. Yes.
And I still think there is a lot of potential lying before us. And as you know, it seems so easy to make a gong, but in fact, you need a lot of strength, and you have to be relaxed, and you have to be absolutely in your center and focused to do it in a good way without damaging your limbs and your body, and stay safe in your mind. And
yes, that's the thing. I kind of over the years experience watching just and hearing the stories, realizing that there is some part that you need to be really in the flow, not to get into mental kind of dysfunction or
Also, I think my whole background is a good thing that I stayed well grounded.
What is the intention behind making the gong?
I think this cannot be answered directly.
Make it poetically.
Mm-hmm. there are different levels. The first level is when we came here to that specific place more than 20 years ago, there was 80% unemployment. So I should do something for these unemployed people. So we make a living from making the gongs, and I feel responsible for that. So I don't want to make gongs just to feed these people, but I want that we make the best gongs we can make just to be connected in a very good way with the world. Well, the other level is more or less philosophical. What I found out changed my life in doing this was the experience that you can have exactly one blow. If you have done this, it will stay forever.
Yes, I know. I know that.
And you can't change it.
Now, question much more related to making the gongs. How long it take really to make a gong?
Well, to say the truth, it is unpredictable as well. To form the shape alone is a matter of hours, or in the large gongs maybe days. We used to give our instruments time also in the birth process. So we never make a gong, we start and make it and finish it. So usually we have certain rounds we make, and then maybe 1 day or 2 days we let them rest just to expand and get used to the new shape, because it's in a way, a lot of force applied in this metal. And metal still for me is a living thing as well. So it takes time to mature and to accept that it's now going to be a different shape. During that time, you always are in contact with that maturing being. And when the shape is done and they are hanging here, then it can take maybe 1 hour or maybe 6 months to really find the finish and stable tuning. Everything which hangs here on the side is still waiting to be finished. And every now and then they are played and I listen to them and decide whether I can do something or still not. And as I know each instrument, it takes some time and there's a kind of a dialogue. So I can say the phase 1, to bring it into shape and to sound, to basic sound, is a matter of hours or days. And to finish it can be more than half a year.
Well, Johannes, can you explain now what is the relation Sona with Tone of Life?
Recently, I think we should clearly say, and even put it on the gong, Tone of Life, that's the brand of the gongs, manufactured by Sona. This, I think, describes what it is. Without you, we would be a small workshop, and of course we would make what we do and can. But together with you, I think this is something which is a precious thing that it is in the world, and it spreads in the world. This is what I feel. We do things which help people live a good life. When we were, what we told, what we spoke about. And I feel very comfortable with that. It's okay if we stay back. We are the workshop. We are doing the best we can. And of course, I subscribe all instruments that go out have my signature on it. And it's not because I'm proud of that. It's a guarantee. It says, okay, I have the feeling this gong is correct and it's good and it does what I promise.
If you can say in a few words, what makes our gongs different than any other silver nickel gongs that are in the market? Because you also are coming across sometimes the other, silver nickel gongs.
First of all, we all have the same legacy. We all are standing on the shoulders of Michael Paiste. He was the one who invented the specific way to create these gongs. And whoever says he is a gong maker in the Paiste tradition should be very, very grateful to him. Grandfather Paiste, he built the basis for all of us. So there are some basic differences between the instruments in the way they are built, and what makes especially our gongs specific is the way of tuning. You can tune a gong to a specific frequency, but it won't stay too long, because it is influenced by many aspects. How hard you hit, how you transfer
the weather condition, everything influence. Yes, like every instrument.
220 hertz.
Yes,
and you have tuned it exactly to the frequency. And you go out, play a concert or have a seminar, people hit a little bit stronger and it's only 180 hertz. So this is not what I understand with tuning. Of course, for instance, the dance gongs, they are tuned on a specific frequency, but not to stay there, but only to give the right character. What I understand in tuning is the whole shape of the sound.
The character.
The character, the color, and the physical effect.
And can you share with us a little bit, as this is personally a very important thing for me, your community life? And for me somehow it is very important who is making our instruments that we provide and what is the energy standing behind.
As you know, my community started in the 70s, so we are one of the oldest, if not the oldest, intentional community in Germany whose members, founding members, still are living together. So we have more than 4 decades communal life, shared life experience. And of course, this is something which is in all things I do, not only in the gongs, in all projects I do. I carry with me the experience of sharing life with people who really try to understand each other and carry each other. And that's not a religious belief or something like that, it's just our intention. Maybe the reason why this worked so far is we were 4 musicians when we started, and our specific art was improvising music. It was not just bringing out our emotions or something like that. It was always building a bridge between the listeners and our doing. So what we always said is, you, audience, you are not only passively listening to what we do, you create our music. We get into touch with you. We want to know what you really want from us, and we try to express this, what you can't express in words. So we use music as a language. And this brought us into a very, very close contact with society as it was. So we were in this dialogue with our audience, and we realized that there is no way stepping out of society, which some people thought it would possibly.
Yes.
So we did the other way. We said, okay, if we can't leave that society, then we want to be in the closest contact that is possible. And this is by trying out to live a real good life as a human being, which is not isolated, but fully aware of that everything around you is more than human. These beings outside of us are so full of skills and potentials and knowledge and everything. Okay, we have our knowledge and skills, but we shouldn't think of we have the best of all. We have only that what we have. So that's the reason for the idea of dialogue. And this goes through all our projects. So the last project is the free school, free democratic school, where we try to realize this fully participatory life between all generations. So there are not children who are pupils and teachers, they are grown up. We are all learning and living beings. The situation says who is leading for the moment, who has the greatest skill, he will teach the others. Maybe,
exactly, yes,
and it's not the 5-year-old has skills that the 20 years or 70 years old has not. So, so it's always looking for the exchange, always looking for understanding, and it has much to do with listening. And again, this is a bridge to gong making, because you have to listen very, very carefully in each step. The gong says what is the next thing to do. And I think you can look at whole life. What is the next thing which will be necessary to be done? I realize when I make gongs, and every now and then I even play a gong, it is a perfect mirror of you as a personality. When we create the gong, we let it go, and there is nothing left what we have as, let's say, there is no rest of us in it. We leave it and say, okay, you are ready to go out and be a perfect mirror. Of course, there is our force, our physics, our thinking is in it, but that's it, nothing more. When you start playing this instrument, you only encounter you, yourself. It is you who brings out the sound. And what you hear from the gong is just the perfect answer to what you have done. And if you can stand what you have done, then everything is all right.
Hallelujah! This is the... Thank you very much. Thank you.
Tom.
Thank you. Very strong actually, I feel it, my God.
The right side is not very well tuned, but this is okay. Here it is. Oh, the Schafe. Look at the sheep.
Hello.